everyone. In this video, we are going to look at one of the most important part of the JEE syllabus, which is mechanics. In this video, we will start with one-dimensional motion. Before understanding one-dimensional motion, we need to know how to tell whether an object is in rest or it is in motion. We can define an object to be in rest if we observe there is no change in its state or its position with respect to time. I can tell an object to be in rest if there is no change in its position with respect to time. Similarly, I can tell an object is undergoing motion if there is change in position of the object with respect to time. So what I'm telling is, let us say I have an object at x is equal to 0, at t equal to 0. Now the same object moves to x is equal to 2 at t is equal to 1 second. This means this object, which was initially at x is equal to 0, has shifted from its original position to another position in a time interval of 1 second. That is, this object undergone motion. So if the object did not want to move from its position and it remains in its same position with respect to time, even after changing the time, that is after a certain time interval, if this object remains in the same position, it means that the object is in rest. Okay, it sounds simple, right? But it is not that simple. These terms, rest and motion, are actually relative. They are relative. So what do I mean by saying that these two terms are relative? Let us try to understand this with an example. So now let us consider I have a car which is moving with a velocity v. And let us say I have two people inside this car. And let us name this person as A and this person as B. Now I have a bus stop near this road and a person is waiting for the bus in this, and let us name him C. Now my question to you is, can you tell whether the person A is in rest or is in motion? So if I'm going to ask you this question, you have to ask me another question. In whose perspective? So you have to ask me, in whose perspective? Okay, now let us first consider the point of view of person B. So according to person B, both A and B are traveling together in the same car, the car which is moving with a velocity v. So for the person B, the person A does not change position with respect to time because they both are moving together. So he does not observe any change in position of person A. So person B is telling that person A is in rest. Now I am going to ask the person C. Person C is standing on the ground and he is observing that a car is moving with velocity v. And the person A is actually inside the car. So he is observing the person A to also move with velocity v. So person C is telling me that person A is in motion. So the same person A is moving for one person, is at rest for another person. So this is why I called both these terms, rest and motion, to be relative. Now relative to what? They are relative to the observer. So with this observation, I can redefine my rest as no change in position of object with respect to time and also with respect to the observer. Similarly, an object undergoing motion can be defined as there is a change in position with respect to time and also with respect to the observer. So I hope now we will have a clear understanding about how to tell whether an object is in motion or is at rest. So okay. So now we have a basic understanding about motion, right? Now we will start listing the parameters which is associated with the motion. So the first and foremost parameter we are going to discuss now is called distance. So first let us define what distance is. Distance is nothing but the total path covered by the object from its initial position to its final position. So when the object is undergoing motion, so the distance is nothing but the total path which is covered by the object when it moves from its initial position to its final position. Now let us define another parameter which is called as displacement. So first let us just define these two parameters and then we will look at an example in order to have a more clear understanding about these two. So displacement is nothing but the shortest path between the initial and final position. So displacement is the shortest path between the initial and final position irrespective of the path taken between these 2 points. So I have just defined these two. Now let us consider an example to have a clear understanding about what these two are. Okay. Now let us consider this boy Sumit. Okay. He is in his house right now and he is getting ready to go to the school. Now his school is actually located here and the distance between his school and house is say 40 meters. The school is located in the direction left to the house of Sumit. Now, while leaving his house, Sumit remembers that his social teacher asked him to buy an India map to the school on that day. But he forgot to buy it the previous day. So now he has to buy the map and then go to school. Okay. So he has to go to this shop which is located 20 meters away from Sumit's home. Okay. So now Sumit is planning to start his journey from his house, go to this shop, buy the map, then come back to his house and then he has to reach to the school. So this is his plan for today. Now this is the situation. Now I am asking you to find what will be the distance travelled by Sumit in this journey. So this is a simple task, right? As I have already stated, distance is going to be the total path covered by the object when it is traveling from its initial position to the final position. So as we observe, Sumit is starting his journey from home and he goes to the shop which is located 20 meters away. So first we will put that 20 and then from the shop again he has to come back to his home, which is another 20 meters, and then he has to reach to his school, which is 40 meters away from his house. So totally Sumit has to travel 80 meters to reach his school during this journey. Now, how to calculate the displacement? So I have stated that displacement is the shortest distance between the initial and final position, right? Here the initial position is this and the final position is this, right? Now, okay, now I am telling you, assume that the initial position is the origin, which is at x is equal to 0, and I am telling the shop is located at x is equal to 20 and my school is located at x is equal to minus 40. Okay. Now we will calculate the displacement. Displacement is the shortest distance between the initial and final position, right? So we have to find this distance, xf minus xi, right? So my displacement is xf minus xi, which is nothing but minus 40 minus 0, which is minus 40 meter is the displacement in this case. Now, what do you observe from this example? What are the things which you observe in this parameters, distance and displacement? We observe that in displacement we have a minus sign, right? Displacement we have a minus sign. Why do we have that minus sign? While calculating distance, we only calculated all the path which was travelled by the person to reach final position from initial position. Whereas while calculating displacement, we only calculated the shortest distance between the final and initial position, right? Now also we have observed that while calculating displacement, I have taken the signs minus 40. That is why we got the displacement with a negative sign. That is, while calculating the displacement, I considered the direction. I assumed that this direction to be positive x-axis and this direction to be my negative x-axis. So, I considered the direction while calculated my displacement. So, basically, distance did not have any direction, whereas displacement had the direction. Distance is a scalar quantity which only has the magnitude, whereas displacement is a vector quantity which included the negative sign because of its direction. And also, what meaningful significance can we get from displacement? Displacement, I can tell, it is how much the object has shifted from its original position irrespective of the path it has taken, whereas distance is nothing but the overall path length taken by the object to go from the initial position to final position. I hope you understand the difference between the physical significance of the displacement and the distance. One more thing to note. So if, let us say, the distance travelled is 0, what does this mean? If I am telling the distance travelled is 0, what does this mean? That means the total path covered by the object in reaching its initial and final position is 0, right? That means this object did not move at all. It is at rest, right? Whereas if I am telling my displacement is 0, does it mean that this object is at rest? Not necessarily. Now, to understand this, let us consider an example. Okay. Now, let us say that there is a circular park with radius r, and a person is starting from point A and wish to complete one round. Okay, while walking he wants to complete one round. So in this case, let us try to calculate the distance travelled by this person and also the displacement of this person. Okay, so this person is starting from point A and is finishing one round, right? So the distance is the total path covered by this person to reach its initial and final position. So in this case, this person is actually walking on the circumference of the circular park. So we know the circumference is nothing but 2 pi r. So my distance is simply going to be 2 pi r. Whereas while calculating displacement, I should remember that displacement is the shortest distance between the initial and final position. In this case, my initial position and final position are same point, right? So if I am going to calculate the displacement, it is going to be 0. So if my displacement is 0, does that mean this person did not move? No, this person have moved, but he did not reach a final position which is different from his initial position, right? He did not displaced from from his original position. His final position is exactly same as initial position even after covering certain distance. So this kind of question can be asked in reason and assertion, where you might get confused whether having a displacement of 0 might mean that the person is at rest, which is not true, because the person might have covered certain distance but he is not displaced from its initial position. He has reached the same point as his initial position as his final position. So that is the meaning of the displacement being 0. So I hope this video is making you understand about the distance and displacement, and also it helped you to understand how to say whether an object is at rest or in motion. So with this understanding, in our next video we will try to work out problems related to the topics which have been covered in this video. Thank you for watching this video.